right, hello. Welcome to Grim and Perilous Plays. We are playing Heart tonight, continuing our campaign, Heart City Beneath. We've got these interesting people from the Bleeding Hollow. I don't know, what do we call them? Worshippers of the Meat Tree or something like that. And yeah, we have stuff to do. It's been a while since we played. It's been like a month since we played, but I don't think anyone remembers how to play or how to use Foundry or anything like that, or what the story was or anything. So yeah, let's just dive right in then. No, Adam, tell us who you're playing and remind us who you are, that kind of stuff.
Hi, I'm Esme. I'm a deep apiarist, and I follow the meat tree. I serve at it. I help people at the meat tree as they may get hurt, as they may encounter things that are really scary and hard to handle. I try and just help them to be positive. We're gonna have so much fun.
Now I remember now. It's all coming back. The puns, it's coming back. Yeah. Okay.
He's about to end the stream right now.
Yeah. Geez. Look at that. Look at that bit rate. That's pretty terrible.
Jeff's like, oh, I forgot I'm on Garblag tonight.
Yeah.
I gotta go to Garblag tonight. My bad. That's my favorite joke. All right. Chuck, who the hell are you?
I'm Chuck. Hi. I'm also playing Lucius, a Drow heretic. Worshipper and clergy of the meat tree. I don't remember what voice I was using for Lucius because I don't think I ever figured it out to begin with. So, yeah, I'm Lucius.
Cool. Mike is not here with us tonight, so he has given me free reign to kill his character. So might happen. We'll see how it goes. But Jen's back. So Jen, what do you remember of Zelina? Do you remember anything at all of Zelina?
I remember Zelina Frey. I'm a witch, and I'm a cult.
Yeah.
Leaning.
Yep. So like, yeah, witches in the heart are like, they're the ones that are like, there's that blood disease that kind of courses through them, and that sort of gives them their witchery power and everything. Right on. Cool. And we'll catch you up on what's actually happened, and it's been fun. And then Steven, who are you playing?
I'm Zenobe. Zenobe is a Drow junk mage. Imagine like a steampunk wizard. He's got the pointy hat, wide brim, bandolier full of just crap, all sorts of like mechanical objects, scrolls. He's got lit candles in his bag. He carries two old-time pistols, but he tends not to use them because he is a lover of the drowned queen. I can take as long as I want on my intro, Jeff, and I'm going to take even longer now. He is a lover of the drowned queen. They have quite an extensive relationship. They've been together for some time now. So while he does put up with all these worshippers of the meat tree, it's really just to further his own quest to be with his love.
Cool. That sounds great. And thanks for joining us, everyone, tonight. Now that he took up all of the time of our stream.
How romantic.
Yeah. Thank you, Adam. Thank you.
And then finally, we got old Jeremy. Jeremy, tell us about Malik.
Yes, I'm going to be playing Malik. My introduction is simple. I'm a humble, no penitent cleaver. I take of the environment to adapt and assist.
Fantastic. Okay. So, all right, let's jump back in. It's been a while. So, some refreshers. We are using the Sanctum rules, which means that we have our own kind of base that we fall back on called the Bleeding Hollow. For those of you that are playing, you can kind of see our little hex map here, Bleeding Hollow. I'm pinging right now. That's basically where we're at. And last time around, there was an explosion at a warehouse in Bleeding Hollow, and it left the Spire Black oil reserves completely depleted. And although there weren't any major casualties, like no one actually died in the explosion, there was sort of a significant concern by the powers that be because Spire Black oil is used to sort of power the street lights, ovens, meat factory equipment, fertilization equipment for the meat tree, all that kind of stuff. And all of your reserves are essentially destroyed. One of the leaders of the place, Manning Dupree, gave you all a lead on where to find this abandoned Spire Black factory that's going to take a significant distance. But you all wanted to investigate the explosion first to figure out whether it was an accident or whether there was a culprit behind it. So you did some investigation, and with the help of Al C. Hollick, who was the operator of Meat Juice, our Haven's liquor store, you determined that the culprit was an Ilfear by the name of Wow the Fly Stings, who you all had met in our previous session. Because he was a sort of an abusive supervisor at one of the processing plants in our haven. You managed, and then you kind of got him fired because of his abuse towards this kid that you rescued. And you decided you wanted to track him down. So we headed outside of the haven, kind of tried to search. While you were doing that, you were noticed that people were fleeing the Bleeding Hollow because whenever power kind of was depleting, people were concerned. It was going to get cold, it was going to get dark, it was going to get scary, all that kind of stuff. And so people were fleeing with this resource being gone. You found him. Fortunately, you tracked him down. He was in this cavern that had all these weird little islands and things. And there was this pack of rust dogs that you all fought. Unfortunately, he died prior, so he was dead, but you managed to bring his body back. And I also think Zenobe brought like a little sapling back as well. So that's what happened last time. So we're going to pick up with, let's say, you all bringing the body of Wow the Fly Stings back to our haven, and you're going to see Manning Dupree. And you've only been gone for like a few hours, half a day, so to speak. You know, like that's kind of how long it probably took to head out there and find him and track him down and then come back. As you do, you can see that, we'll say, Dante decides to kind of take hold of the guy and take care of it. But you're the administrator of the haven. Manning Dupree comes up. He's like, yeah. I don't remember what voice I was using. I think I was doing everything was like French, like Sacre Bleu or something. Have you returned already with more Spire Black? We are losing people by the day, something like that. So he stresses the need for this stuff. So the question just remains, do you guys want to delve out to this factory, or is there other things that you want to do?
I think we got some of that liquid that was near that tree.
Yeah, you got a little bit of that.
Someone picked it up. I can't remember who did.
I don't know. It might have been Dante. I'm not sure. But someone grabbed a little bit of it, yeah.
I'm fine delving to the warehouse, but I would have to plant the sapling first.
Sure.
So I would just find a nice spot away from the meat tree, because I don't want people to get upset with me planting trees near the meat tree. Maybe towards what?
Is that a meat sapling?
No, this is just a heart touch sapling.
Yeah, you better take that out a ways.
Yeah, it represents my love for the drowned queen.
Oh.
And Zenobe will take it out to some area out of the way, probably close to one of our haunts, maybe like one that's a little more magically oriented. And he would find a nice soft soilish spot to plant it. He'd dig it out with his bare hands, put the sapling in, mount it up, and then to water it, he would do his he would cast his spell where he regurgitates the water from his lungs onto the sapling to just really soak that soil in.
Okay. This all happens exactly as you described it. You probably find a nice place of soil, probably over by, like, kind of on the outskirts of town where there's not, like, the cobblestone streets that have kind of erupted over the course of time. So places where there's not as much foot travel. There are some small gardens and farms scattered about here and there. People have kind of raised carrion pigs and other things in addition to the meat that provides. So you're able to find something. Are there other things people are doing?
Esme is probably really excited to see Selena. Selena! Oh, it's so good to see you. We're going to have a great time now. I've missed you. What were you up to?
Digging in the soil.
Yeah? Find anything?
No, nothing good.
Oh. Well, surely we'll find something if we go out on this adventure. Let's do it.
You're positively buzzing.
Well, yeah, like, been hanging out with all these guys and they're just sticks in the mud and also
No.
serious and
That is a stick in the mud. And she points to a stick in the mud.
The sapling I
Yes.
just planted.
Sapling you just.
it is. You're so funny.
I know.
Yeah.
Zenobe, would you be offended if I contributed to your effort?
What kind of contribution? Is it a dedication to the drowned queen?
It could be. There's an abandoned farmstead with a broken fence. I'd be glad to take some of the material and rebuild the fence around your sapling to help protect it from some of the creatures around here.
So you're trying to horn in on the drowned queen. You know she's mine, right?
All yours. I simply wish to protect that which is sacred to you.
All right, maybe. Let me think on it.
Malik, roll a Mend Haven test.
Guess how bad I am at that.
And also, we have 4 bonus dice left over from kind people last time, so that you can tap into to get an extra D10 in your pool.
So, mend. Do I have any of those skills? I don't think I have any of those. So just roll 1 dice.
Yeah, unless you wanted to use one of these audience purchase dice, if you like.
I might do that. So how do I clear
Ed-
out if I have neither of them?
Esme would assist you since she has mend.
Okay, sure, that works.
Okay. Well, at that point, I'll just enter the 2 things in. And that
You can also, if you want, just click Mastery. Like, when the
Okay.
pop-up comes up, just click on Mastery. That'll throw an extra D10 in there.
Okay.
So, sure. 1, 2, should have like 3, I think, that you're rolling. Critical success. All right, so so you managed not only to deconstruct like this old fence that was kind of falling apart from one of these abandoned farmsteads, but you do it with great quickness, and so you're able like. And meanwhile, like the administrator Manning Dupree is like looking at you all like, what are you taking so long for? What is this? As you manage to create a very, very careful like measurements to make sure that like the fence that you're putting around this is not so small as to like potentially risk interference as the roots begin to grow, but not so wide as to sort of make it seem as if there's nothing here. And you also will discover that you in the process of kind of deconstructing this fence, you find what looks like extra nails. So go ahead and give yourself a D6 resource of nails as well for the critical.
6 resource of nails.
Yeah, so just
Awesome.
have just a bunch of nails.
Okay.
All right. So, any other things that people want to do? Lucius, anything you're doing?
No, I'm in good shape. I'm ready to get back out there.
Okay. So, you hear... yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Jeff, did you see that you were not forgotten about?
Melissa? Oh, please. She's good. Whatever. She's giving that to you.
No,
She already-
look.
She gave you a
Oh, I see.
complication.
Those are all complications? Oh,
No,
gosh.
three to us, a complication to you.
You see? That's how it is. She can't just... I can't... Okay. No, it's fine. Can't just...
gosh.
That's fine. It's cool.
You weren't
All right.
forgotten about.
Uh-huh. All right. So So, do you want to take on the task of going and trying to delve towards this factory, or do you?
I think we ought to after last time.
You don't have to.
Yeah.
Okay. So you can
Yeah,
definitely
I
see
think we can
that
do it.
the population of your haven is diminishing. You can see the light. There's like sections of the haven of this little town that basically are in darkness now, as like there's no more of these kind of almost oil lit lamps that are showing up along the streets, and so it's very, very dark. You hear what like sounds like the influx of like heart creatures that are beginning to move about. Everyone's kind of starting to consolidate more and more towards the tree, and they're kind of like all the administrators of the town are like shutting quadrants off to ensure like some of these resources don't get wasted. Housing prices are dropping. It's absolutely crazy. Okay, so you were
What
told,
we're hoping for.
just to remind you, that you're going to the Essentiel Spire Black Refinery, which is a great distance away. This was information given to you from Manning Dupree, who got it from a cleaver. You have to pass through a couple other landmarks and things. There's a place called the Machines of Dust, where apparently there's a cult that worships the god of decay. There's also like Vermissian stations you might have to pass through, those types of things. So it's going to take a while. So if any of you wanted to like tap into your haunts, if you needed to heal anything up, you can do that now before you leave. Or if any of you have those like pre-delve prep things that you want to tap into as abilities, you can go ahead and use them now as well.
Okay.
And then we'll get started.
Yeah.
I need to do mine after we leave, but before we start the delve.
Okay.
Esme will need to go to the meat tree to get rid of some minor blood fallout. Is that how it works?
There's the smokehouse is for blood. So so you can donate a D6 to heal a D6 worth of blood. So if you have D6 resources, do you have any resources in your inventory?
I have D4 because
That's
I
fine.
had that. I don't have it on my character sheet, but I remember I picked up a dog. One was D4 and then one was D6, and I remember Dante got the D6. So
Right.
but if I use the D4, can I get rid of a minor, or is it?
You picked up a dog?
Yeah,
The
one of
ruins
the
one of those rust dogs. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
If you do
Yeah,
not
You just
have-
picked up a stray dog that you're about
Yeah,
to
no, I'm just
sacrifice.
you know.
As
the
you
thing to
find
do.
yourself searching for resources, you'll find a bag of nails laid down beside you.
Wait, what?
A bag of nails, D6 resource.
Oh. Thank you, Malak.
Of course.
And yeah, so we'll go ahead and give that bag of nails to the smokehouse, and we'll get rid of that minor.
Yeah, you spend some time in one of the smoke rooms in the back. Nelson Williamson kind of leads you back there. And you basically get hotboxed in the back, and then once you get out, you just feel invigorated,
Oh, yeah.
woozy. Your wounds, your physical wounds, have stitched themselves together. Your bones aren't aching any longer. Your muscles don't feel tight and cramped anymore. Yeah, you feel much, much better.
There's nothing quite like it. Thank you so much, Malik.
You look much better. This pleases me.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. So, by the time you're done with that, by the time you're done planting your sapling, kind of finding Zelina and breaking down like what's gone on, maybe Dante tells you to go ahead and he'll catch up later. He'll follow in your tracks. Someone leave breadcrumbs behind along the way so that he can better follow up, because he has to finish up paperwork for the death of While the Fly Stings. You all finally you head out. You move on out into the tunnels. Now, last time you were here, you were kind of following this trail, this path, and you can see that there were these citizens from your landmark that were kind of packed up and moving along, and you still see the same thing. There's still this slow trickle of people that are leaving every so often and claiming they're going to go up to these other landmarks in the distance, but you kind of push forward. Well, we're starting a delve. We're gonna put the resistance at 12. and this is tier 2, so like default is stress. So basically what this means, Jen, is that a delve itself is like a way, like a delve resistance is sort of like an abstraction of like the journey, the distance it takes. And so I kind of throw out random prompts and encounters. Somebody calls out like an action that they want to take to sort of overcome it or deal with it. If you're successful on a skill test, then you can roll a die that reduces that resistance of the delve. And then once that resistance reaches 0, you guys have reached reach wherever it is you're trying to go. So right now you're trying to journey from your own landmark to this place called the Machines of Dust. So you head on out, and the first thing you notice after about a couple hours of travel, and you're kind of retracing the steps that you took while following While the Fly Stings, is that when you journey back through that large chamber that had all those islands and like the rusty dogs, you notice that something has radically changed here just in a few hours, as the liquid that seemed like some kind of coolant has gone rancid and discolored, and you can see periodically these bubbles start popping up, and as they do, they throw little droplets all over the place. You can see that it started to overtake those little islets as well, putting all these different, like it's much more distance between each of them. It's not as easy like a hop, skip, and a jump across. You notice that when the droplets fall here and there, like there's a sizzle to it, almost like it's acidic in some way. And you can see that these huge knots of frogs that are kind of hopping about here and there that periodically just burst into this array of different colors. And you can see some of the equipment left behind by While the Fly Stings or other people. You can see what looks like corpses of travelers who tried to traverse some of this like weird kind of acidic pond, not quite making it. So who wants to try to navigate a way across this?
Do you mind if I knock out that communion roll real quick?
Absolutely, yeah, go ahead and do that.
I assume previously Lucius was willing to help out with the occult side of that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So Chuck's like, yeah, I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling it today.
Okay.
I mean, do yourself.
I like Malik.
I get it.
We're good buddies.
Okay. Just very lucky today.
That's 2 critical successes. Okay. So tell everyone the effects of that.
Everybody gets the delve skill, and anytime you inflict stress, you add +1 to it throughout this delve.
All right. So, okay.
Does
So
that
just
mean if we
everyone
already have the delve skill, we get mastery?
Yes. Or actually, it might be. Let me double check. It might be hunt. I might be saying it wrong.
So if you scroll down on your sheet to skills, if delve is empty, you can place a check mark next to it, or you can fill it in by clicking on it.
Actually, I apologize. It's hunt. There's a separate thing I can do later that lets me do delve. I apologize.
Not delve, hunt.
It's been a little bit.
Yeah.
Sure. It's been like a month. So, yeah. So you, okay. So along the way, first couple hours, you kind of do your communion. You stop here and there. You catch up to everybody else. You kind of lead the way. You return back to this place that just 7-8 hours ago looked completely different. Looked like it was like this individual sapling was growing in this beautiful manner. Like there was these floating, drifting lights. There's the cool water that didn't seem to negatively affect anybody, but now it's rancid and acidic. There's this army of frogs like kind of hopping and exploding all over the place. Who wants to try to find a way across?
So Esme will see all of this equipment that's here, and she'll start kind of digging through it to see if there's any sort of like way that she can start fastening it together, see if there's like particularly any sort of way that she can try and make a bridge across at least a portion of this.
Yeah. You might
Did you say it was raining down as well?
It was like there was bubbles coming up out of the acid.
It was popping up.
The frogs were popping, exploding, and kind of So
Okay.
everywhere, like there's like these little droplets. You know, it's not enormous, like they're small frogs, but it could be annoying. Sure, this sounds like a mend test, and I would say you could probably do Haven since this is just basic equipment. So mend Haven makes the most sense. If there's something else you have in mind, though, let me know.
No, I was just gonna, yeah, whatever you call that. So Mend Haven, got it.
Yeah.
Right. Difficulty standard.
Standard's fine, yeah. Okay, success. So yeah, like as if you recall, you guys went up this like old staircase and you kind of descended down to this cavern, and you can see that other people have likely tried to pass through here, possibly some of those folks who stayed at the Bleeding Hollow, and you can see that there's a handful of like crates and bags and like what looks like broken down wagons, and you start deconstructing it. You start kind of taking some of these planks from some of these longer carts or wheelbarrows or something like that, and you're able to fashion together what looks like kind of a reusable plank that you can kind of just drop down, hurry and scurry across a bit, and then drop another one down and scurry across, and then drop another one down. And all the while, like there's the drops are flying out, but you're able, without having to sink your feet into the acid itself, you're able to avoid most of it. The planks are getting hit periodically, but you're making decent progress. Go ahead and roll a d6 for stress and add 1 to it for Malik's communion, and this sort of determines how far you get using this successful plank. Okay, quite far indeed. As you are able to, with that 7, you are able to traverse this very massive cavern, and the whole way through. And by the end of it, the plank is not horribly reusable anymore. You can see it's like falling apart. But all of you are able to, every time Esme drops it, quickly run across, drop the next one, quickly run across. You can see the frogs try to like leap close to you. Like you could see sometimes they try to like herd in your direction with these groups and they explode. But because you're able to like avoid the water itself, or this like rancid liquid, you're able to get across. Now,
yeah, I think Malik has the same idea as me. How big are these frogs? Like normal frog size?
Like normal frog size, yeah. What you want to do?
Would I be able to catch one?
You can certainly try, yeah. This isn't a delve test, but like you could certainly try to collect some resources, yeah.
I would like to assist you with that.
Okay.
How about I assist you? You go ahead. I'll hold your belt.
That's most kind.
This is going to be a hunt wild test, Jeremy.
Oh, I have both of those things.
Nice.
So hunt.
I have hunt because of you, so I can assist, can't I?
Wild. And then if it's for gathering resources, and I usually take excision for my specialty, that give me another.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 4 dice. Get Zenobe added on.
It's 3 critical
My
successes.
God.
Let's just everyone let
I'm
Jeremy
gonna
roll
die
tonight.
later.
Nice.
You manage to not just collect 1, but several, as you kind of lure them into maybe a bag or a large jar or whatever you might have on your person, and take D10 worth of these exploding acidic frogs.
Wait, how many do I get for helping?
You get a D10.
You guys can split the D10 however you like.
We both
Please,
get a
Zenobe,
D5.
Take them all. They're all yours.
Oh, you're too kind. You're too kind. But thank you. And I take them all.
Worst. You're the absolute worst. Okay.
I know. What did you say they were? D10 what?
D10, just put acidic frogs.
No, what domain?
Oh, these are wild.
Not necessarily a delve roll, but as we're kind of making it across on these planks that Esme set up, I want to try and, scan, kind of scour the area visually, see if I can figure out what might have caused such intense corruption in such a short amount of time.
Yeah. Sure. Go ahead, and it sounds to me like you're looking for a discern test. And then I would take either wild or tech for this.
I'll do discern wild. So I hit a roll.
Molotov frogs. That's good. Froggletovs.
Froggle cocktails.
Froggletov cocktails. There we go.
Critical success.
All right, guys. You know, I don't appreciate this.
It's
Whatever,
okay.
hack-
Just wait for me to roll something. It'll be fine.
It's just like, I'm never going to roll tonight. That's just what I'm going to do. Risking everything. You notice, actually, as you're moving across, you've all been kind of moving towards what you thought was like an opening in like the other side of the cavern, because you can see these lights. But when you get there, you realize it's just sort of this big patch of like pulsing, glowing heart flesh that's significantly high up in the cavern and doesn't seem to suggest some mode of egress. But Lucius, you notice kind of like off in the distance, kind of going in a sort of perpendicular route down this massive cavern, you see what looks like these like plumes of smoke or some kind of gas, and you realize there is some kind of like mechanical structure over there, some sort of mechanical device. You kind of move the plank over and progress, and you realize like it looks like there was some sort of machine that has broken down here that is the size of, you know, like a large building. You can see that there's some kind of massive gear that's slowly twitching and moving, and from that's where like this smoke is coming. But as you're looking at it, you realize like if you could potentially climb up this behemoth machine, there does appear to be this sort of tunnel that you can see is reinforced with metal sheeting, like at the very top of it. So climbing up this could potentially lead to a way forward.
Yeah, I'll point that out. Like, this is what I believe the source of this corruption is, but also it looks like there's a way through up top of it. Maybe we should head that way.
Oh my God. Is this what I think it is? She starts to come closer towards it. Gets a good look at this massive machine.
Yeah.
Like she wants to identify what it is.
Okay. Roll tech. Probably just discern, I would say.
Discern technology?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's fun.
So
it all balances out.
You all watch as Esme gets a little closer, and as she does, all of this like plumes of smoke begin to sort of erupt and explode even further, and she just becomes completely kind of covered in it, subsumed within it. You start to feel these like headaches begin to rack your brain, Esme, a bit, and like the horrible stench of like ozone and other fragrances just kind of waft into your nose. And as you blink your eyes, you can see the tears kind of falling. You look up again, and you look back to where, you know, your people are currently standing, and you see this, like right amongst them, like right within the group, there's suddenly, you didn't see this when you were just standing there a moment ago, there's this bed of violets, this sort of like beautiful violets. And it almost looks like there's a spotlight somewhere high up in this cavern that's just sort of shining directly down on them. And it doesn't seem like anybody in your party seems to know they're there, but somehow they're managing to avoid stepping on them.
Mm-hmm.
And as you like kind of are watching, you see like pushing past them, like pushing past the group, you see yourself just kind of emerge between them, like you're just sort of kind of shoving them off to the side, and there you are standing there. And as you're standing in front of this, you know, this bed of violets, your body just rips into 1,000 parts, and all these tiny little bees just begin to fly and float around, and you can see the violets are like kind of in this state of withering, this like protracted like phase where it looks like they're kind of on the verge of complete death, and like your bees just swarm around them, and in doing so seems to sort of reinvigorate them. The rest of you, while that's happening to Esme, you watch her go in there, and then she just gets blown back by the explosion of this smoke and just falls right down into what looks like a big old puddle of this sort of like rancid, acidic liquid. So Esme, go ahead and roll a d6.
Whoops.
For stress.
I press the button and then I'm like,
Yeah.
I hit enter and then that gives me another d6. I'm like, no, don't do that.
Yeah, take 5 points of blood stress as
Fun.
as the or I mean, alternative if you want to take supply stress, I'll give you that too. As like the acid just either works its way through you or works its way through like your packs or something like that.
Let's go for blood just because I have more protection from that. So
Cool. And how is your? I just rolled your d12. You should be good.
yeah, I'm
you're
at
good. You're good
3
for
blood
Fallout.
stress right now.
Yeah, you're fine for Fallout. All right. So the rest of you see her just get blown back and fall into the acid. What's everyone doing?
Zelena's gonna go over to Esme's side and just kind of kneel down by Esme, but not actually touch Esme. And just watch and see what happens.
Okay. Yeah, you watch as like the liquid is just beginning to like coat around her. You just watch as like the clothing that covers Esme's are just kind of getting eaten away and soaked and sodden, and then the layer beneath it is likely Esme's skin, and that just slowly begins to part and just keeps sinking down ever so slowly.
Intriguing.
So it looks like something needs to be done to treat this or take care of her, correct?
Certainly removing her from the liquid would probably
Yeah,
be
that's
a
probably
good
the thing
first
to do.
step.
So
I'm assuming
Zenobe would be
she's-
like, "Oh shit, you okay?"
I'm assuming Esme's out of it right now.
I'd imagine someone drags you out. Yeah, it's not hard to do.
Yes.
No. I mean, I'm assuming Esme is not present.
Yeah, you are kind of
mentally,
like
'cause I'm in this-
hallucinating or having
Okay.
some sort of weird
Yeah.
vision state.
non-responsive.
Right. But once you're dragged out of it, like, you know, you slap your face a little bit, tap, and then like your eyes kind of come to, and, you know, you start coughing a bit to get some of the gas out, and you look at your body. It hurts, it stings here and there, some burns. But the vision that you saw, the violets are gone, the bees are gone. It's just you again and your compatriots.
How
When-
do you feel, Esme?
When Esme comes to, at first she looks like she's incredibly afraid, scared, and then all of a sudden her face goes completely blank, turns to you and says, it is nothing unusual. It was a stupid decision. It won't be repeated.
Nothing unusual as you getting thrown mysteriously across and then landing in a pool of acid.
Yeah, you got some air.
Yes, that was quite impressive. Did you perhaps play basketball in your youth?
Do not understand what basketball is,
That's fine.
but curiosity warrants gaining injury.
It was reasonable that you investigated. I'm sorry that you suffered an unfortunate circumstance. Do not think less of yourself.
All will be fine in a matter of hours. And like
You look like you got a suntan or something.
every time she looks at one of you, it looks like she's looking past you. And
That's a weird stare.
yeah, and still doesn't seem to be fully present.
Zelena is gonna slap you real hard because you don't sound like Esme right now. You sound more like Zelena right now.
Doppelganger check.
Yeah.
I mean, that's D12 worth of blood damage, I think. That's
At the very least.
What was the meaning of this? Esme says that you were a friend. Why would you do this? Esme is talking to Zelina.
I'm trying to find out how to roll a d12.
What do you want to try to do? You tell me.
I don't know.
Sorry.
I just wanted to slap the crap out of Esme because she.
You don't have to.
sounds
You
like
don't have
a
to roll for
robot.
that. That's easy enough to do. You can.
Oh,
you can.
we'll let that go.
Yeah,
like,
you can just slip Esme freely. That's fine.
Esme doesn't like the body doesn't stand up to that very easily. Like you knock the body around, and Esme stands up and says, "What is the meaning of this?" Well, Esme says you were a friend. Why would you assault us?
Your
Why
behavior is
are
different than
you-
we're used to.
Speaking in third person.
This is the hive, is it not?
We needed to take over. We are rebuilding her.
Hmm.
Oh, fascinating.
Is there
She's-
anything we can do to help you do so?
She's unsuited for this task.
Hmm.
Well, still, she's the one who took it on. I appreciate your concern for her, but you should let her pilot while you repair.
That's between Esme and us.
That is true.
Esme sends her regards.
You call
I-
her by a separate name. Would you prefer to be referenced by your own title?
It does not matter. These things do not matter to us.
I'm just gonna pick Esme up and piggyback her and and just be done with it. Like, oh, okay, now that I know what's going on. Yeah.
Maybe.
There is no resistance at all from Esme.
That's not creepy at all.
So good.
Maybe when Esme is usually Esme, we refer to her as Esme. This is, the B personality, so we could refer to her as SB.
If such a thing is a requirement for your hive, then so be it.
Okay. Anyway, as much as we enjoy this conversation, SB, we have a task at hand.
Yes. We believe this is a Vermissian station.
That is a bold statement.
We could be wrong. But
Either
given
way,
time-
our path does go that way. So let's make like a meat tree and get on out of here.
Given time, we could repair this.
You've got all the time in the world. I'm just going to piggyback you for a while.
No, we mean the machine.
Oh, the mean meat machine.
Perhaps after we've gathered the resources that the settlement needs.
Suit yourself.
Would be a delve tech to try to lead a climb up this big old machine to the tunnel up top.
Hmm.
I'm no good with tech, but I can assist with the delve, I believe.
I can delve, but not tech.
I have an idea.
Esme has both.
I do
We need Dante.
have
I mean, SB.
I have
Sure.
I have some mechadog bits which I could eat to gain detect domain.
Go
Well,
for it.
the bee lady said that she could do it, so you may not have to.
But you need to focus on repairing yourself. I will
No.
eat these sharp metal shards if it would help you fix yourself.
No, there are many of us. What is required for us to repair her is compliance. And because there are many of us, we can do many things at once.
Hmm. I'm grateful I don't need to eat these then.
Lead the way, SB.
Over there.
I know, I was gonna say underlay. Zelina's gonna kind of go wherever she's getting pointed to by Esme.
Sure. Esme, roll a delve tech. I'll say because Zenobe is helping you, or not Zenobe, excuse me, Zelina is helping you. kind of giving you the Yoda treatment here. We'll say...
You said mend tech, I'm sorry.
No, it's delve tech. 'Cause you're literally just sort of trying to climb up this thing intelligently. Go ahead and take a die for her. I'll give her, say she's assisting you as the two of you are kind of trying to navigate your climb up and avoiding any potential, vents or strange machinery that might kind of interact terribly with accidentally kicking it or falling into it or something like that. So delve tech, and you can get an assist from Zelina.
Okay.
You're just ratatouilleing it. You're pulling on her hair, twisting her the right way.
It's fantastic.
You guys are crushing it tonight. Absolutely crushing it.
You're welcome.
Yeah, go ahead and roll. I can't remember what crits do. I think it's like when you get it. I can't remember what it is. I think it's like you increase die size, maybe. Maybe that's what it is. I can't remember. Go ahead and we'll say roll a d8 because we'll just say increase die size. I can't remember what the crit success is. So we'll just play that tonight. Okay. So yeah, you all climb up.
Oh yeah, it is 7, isn't it?
Oh yeah, so the 7. Yeah, you all manage to climb up. You follow. You watch as Esme kind of leads the way up, and you realize like you enter into like this wide but sort of short corridor. It's like a good 30-40 feet wide, and you see that there's liquid in it, but it's not the same that you saw below, and it's kind of running off and spilling like down onto that machine. When you at this very top and you look down at the machine itself, it looks like something caused, like this machine was likely attached somehow to this large tunnel up here, and somehow they ripped apart. You can even see the metal kind of wrenched free, and there's like these sharp areas at the very top here, and like somehow this machine broke from this tunnel that you are now in. Likely it was filtering the water in some way and doesn't seem to be doing so anymore.
But the liquid is water?
Yeah, like it's the same fluid that you saw before, that kind of almost coolant-like thickness to it as you kind of reach down. But then as it kind of hits as it falls down into the machine and kind of cascades through like that kind of broken that smoke and the vapor that's coming up from it, that's what seems to be turning it rancid. So yeah, you follow this path for a bit, and it's actually a fairly smooth and simple path. Like you're sloshing around in this liquid for a while, and like your boots are getting wet, but otherwise it's not too difficult. Eventually you come to like this intersection, and you can see that there's these other folks that are kind of joining that intersection, and they all seem to be kind of moving in one particular direction. You all kind of journey in relative close proximity to one another. You can see they're all kind of moving in this sort of strange, like kind of jerky movement. Some of them have like these appendages of tech that are kind of sticking out in some way. A few of them have these strange devices kind of attached to their heads, kind of jammed into the sides of their temples, or something kind of coming out of their ear here and there. These weird kind of tech appendages that seem different in some way, but all of them seem to be like kind of burrowing into the heads. Eventually,
do they notice us?
Yeah, they do, and they kind of look at you. They don't seem to react one way or the other. They all kind of seem, they have like the feel of like sort of pilgrims or something, like people that are just sort of traveling in some way. They don't attack you or anything. They don't seem aggressive, but they kind of just look up, and they got this weird sort of buzzing sound to their voice, almost like their voice is sort of coming through a filter. And
are you pilgrims of the machine as well?
No. We are on our own journey.
You shall come with us. Enlightenment you will find. Yes, enlightenment.
And their voice has constantly got this weird, like, vibrating quality to it.
We might have to pass on that.
Yeah, we can travel with you for a bit, but we belong to the Tree of Meat.
God.
And the Drowned Queen.
And the Drowned Queen.
We have heard of these, yes.
Out of politeness, might I ask where you would take us to?
Well, we are going to the machine. Yes. Through the network of tunnels. Yes. Through the rust in the oil, in the ozone. Yes. Come, this is the way. We have heard of this drowned queen. She is a friend.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, she is a friend. Yes.
Is he being sketchy about that?
I mean, you can roll a discern if you want. Roll a discern. You can either do tech, or I would take cursed.
I'll give you discern cursed then, yeah. So that sounds like a trap.
Oh, does it?
Yeah. Success at a cost. All right.
Yeah, so like you're kind of staring at them for a bit, right? Like you're kind of trying to get the size of their measures. They're talking and they're kind of looking over to this Zenobe and they're like,
Yes, we know the drowned queen. Pleasure, she is friend. She is friend. She brings lubrication to the dust. Yes, she is friend. Come with us.
you get a little too close to one of them. To like one kind of whirls around on you and says,
You would want in exchange.
and you can see that like just eating out right from like this weird appendage on their face. You see these coils just extend out right into your mind, right into your temple, and like burrow in, and you have this sudden and massive exchange of just memories. Like you lose one, you gain one. You lose one, you gain one. You lose one, and you gain one. Roll a d6, Lucius. Roll your, or you can just click on the roll stress button, I think, in the chat. There's a right next to where it says success at a cost. Can you see that, or is that just GM only?
I got it, yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm changing to success at a cost, D6.
Mhm.
Ugh.
Yeah. You lose 5 memories, but you gain 5 new memories. As this
Is
happens.
that mind stress?
And it's mind stress, yeah.
All right, I got 2 protection, so I'll take 3.
And I think you can hit the heart little icon and it'll do it for you, but whatever. That's fine.
It's so trippy and great.
I'm gonna try that.
So, give us an example of maybe, you don't have to give us 5 memories, but give us an example of a memory that Lucius, that departs Lucius's mind.
I would say probably some of his weaker memories are ones not devoted to the meat tree. So like some of his youth, maybe, suffering at the hands of the Elfir, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe his escape some, just removing personality bits that would give him a little more independence from his duties as a worshiper or clergy of the meat tree.
Yeah. I would say, and I think you're going to get Fallout because I rolled a 3, so that should be lower than your 5 because you just
I
took
have
5.
3 mind, so yeah.
Yeah, so you're going to... Okay, so go ahead and take Fascination as like this exchange is like it's unsettling, but at the same time, the memories that are beginning to flood into your mind are utterly fascinating, and you just see like this network of machines, this like interconnectivity of minds, all kind of moving at this intense speed. You see what looks, and you're not even sure if this is a memory or a vision or what it might be, of some sort of kind of intersection, this fulcrum of like cables, and you see people that are kind of attached to those cables and set into these little kind of cubbies here and there, and like stuff is draining from them similar to the connections on their head, and it just kind of, you're just utterly fascinated by these people.
I think it might be wise for us to follow them.
Yes.
It would be
Zenobe
wise.
was already headed towards, like, they mentioned the drowned queen. He's like a stranger with candy. Sure, that sounds good.
It would be wise. Their society is more like us. They seem to have evolved further than most normal humanity.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's
They
follow
lead you.
them.
Yeah, they lead you forward, and they periodically turn like, yeah, come, yes, yes. And you kind of go through this fairly shifting network of tunnels, and you start to see the oil kind of oozing out of what looks like these breaks in the metal walls that you're passing through. You can see rust is cascading all over these sheets of metal that make up the walls, and these broken bits of tech, who knows what they were, smaller still, like that are seeping out of this kind of pool of oil. The ozone smell becomes even more potent. You start to see eventually that the oil kind of drains away at a time, and soon you feel your feet kind of hitting what seems like grates, and you hear the echo of your boots, and you start to see machines now that are actually intact and working and functioning, lights kind of blinking, electricity sort of flowing, it seems, from one side to the next, gears turning. You notice eventually they bring you into this large chamber, and you can see this obelisk that seems to grow, and you can see all these crystalline growths here and there. And as you walk in, this person who had this moment of an exchange, he says, turns to Lucius like, yes, you should come with us. We will take you to the machine network. Yes, we will show you. We will fill in the gaps that is missing. We will show you the truth. Yes. The rest of you, yes, come too. Yes.
Yeah, that would. I'm quite curious about this. Of course.
Okay.
Zena's a little distracted by some of the crystals that are along the walls. And she kind of notices that people are maybe going away with them as they're getting lured away, but is a little bit more distracted with the crystals.
Okay. So if you kind of journey off and you just start messing around with the crystals, everyone else sort of departs at a certain point, and you realize that the crystals are sort of affixed almost like light bulbs in these sockets, and that if you just sort of turn and shift them, they're actually removable, and you can kind of salvage them. They give off a faint glow, not as bright as a light bulb would, but they kind of imbue the room with a certain hue. Like some of them are kind of a pinkish or a purplish here and there, and every time like you kind of twist and turn one slightly, the colors change, and then eventually it becomes loose itself, and you could salvage some if you like.
Fascinating. Yeah, I'd like to.
Yeah, so you can put you can jot it down if you want on paper, or you don't have to worry about it on your character sheet, but you get salvage crystals, just get crystals, my bad, which is going to be a D8 resource. That's just basically it's sort of quantity or quality, and then there's 2 tags on this. There's what's called a cult, and then there's what's called beacon. So I'm writing it down too so I don't forget. Okay. So who else went down with Lucius and these friendly people?
Zenobe went, and he would be asking questions about the Drowned Queen the whole time, like, how do you know her, where is she, all this stuff.
We have, we have exchanged memories of her with those who have been in her presence. Yes, we have given memories of the machine network, and they have given memories of the Drowned Queen, and together we share them. We look for enlightenment. We look for a totality of truth that only can come from engagement with many creatures.
Could you give me memories of the Drowned Queen?
Oh, yes, we could. Yes.
You can make a choice here. How many do you want? Like, how much do you want? From a die size perspective, like D4 to D12.
Just goes
D12 all the way.
Okay.
He wants the full 12.
All right.
I want the full 12.
Okay. So I don't know why that keeps adding. Like, it shows on my die that it's a 7, but like in the chat it says a 10. It's the second time it's happened. It's weird. Okay. So as you guys are moving down, you get into this large chamber. You can see the lights are flickering. You notice there's other people that are kind of moving around. They have these like clipboards or some sort of tablet devices, and they're moving into these small cubby holes. You see this massive obelisk from which extend all these different cables here and there. And you start to kind of maybe fan out, or a few of you kind of peek at these different things. Meanwhile, Zenobe, you linger, and this very friendly person kind of moves you off and says, yes, right in here. Go right in here. Back up. Close your eyes. Yes, I shall now connect you to them. And they take what looks like this sort of connection, almost like a plug, and they just jam it into your temple, and you just feel a horrible, piercing, like, stab right behind your eye. And just they start, yes, let the memories flow. And you are just getting all, like, this inundation of memories of these deep, slumbering depths, these huge, like, kelp farms, people kind of milling about like souls meandering throughout like the deep of an ocean, like underwater. You see this massive, like, with almost like a conch shell of some kind. Like, it had to have been for some behemoth creature. And you can see they're all kind of milling in its direction. And you can see that as they kind of navigate through this almost nautilus, these whirling tunnels, it opens on to this huge throne room. And you see elevated on what is sort of like a piece of coral, like this illuminated pink coral. You see this woman of immense beauty and terror. You see her hair kind of spreading out in different directions, this sort of tangle of like kelp and seaweed. You see her eyes kind of glowing like pearls. You hear like this strange muted chants of others, this retinue that's in the room. All the while, like, you're losing memory after memory after memory. And not only that, you are tapped into this thing. And anyone else, you can see that it's not just that there's a cable stuck into it, but you can see there's an active color coming out of him. And like through what is like a translucent cable, like a hose attached to his temple, something is being drained from him. You can take 10 points of echo stress, Zenobe.
Oh, wow. Does this kind of match? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Steve.
No, it's fine. I already had 5, so that would put me up to the max, right?
Yeah. Do you have any protection?
I have 1 protection, so I'm taking 9 points, and I already had 5.
All right, you're gonna end up, maybe because no matter what I roll in a d12, you're gonna end up with fallout, and it's actually going to be major fallout. So you're gonna end up
because
in the strangest. Well, it's more because like if I roll a d12, no matter what I roll, it's going to be equal to or under. So you're gonna automatically hit it. So that's why. So it's like not even worth rolling to this. So
wouldn't the die roll determine whether it's minor or major though?
It's how much he had. Like, I'm giving it to him because it's his beat. Like,
okay.
Major. Yeah, it's good.
So
for me.
like I figured he'd want the major. So like this is one of those situations where it feels like it makes sense. Plus it's just GM can cut it. Like, you're taking a ton of stress at once. So you can go ahead and take some echo stress. We'll call this I'm trying to see. Oh, that one looks pretty good. No, that one's kind of stupid. We're gonna call this trying to look for a really, really good one because this is echo. Okay. Okay. Whether it's real or not, go ahead and put down cult for now. So what's essentially going to start happening to you is that if you're detached from this machine and you move around, all these weird people and creatures are going to start following you around for a bit, espousing like the glories of the drowned mother. And they've all kind of got that drowned look to them, like this discoloration of their skin, like they almost look like they're underwater. So yeah, go ahead and put down cult. This is ongoing.
This is equipment. I have a cult in my equipment.
It's fallout.
Cult
Yeah,
Fallout. Got it.
you can go to Fallout in one of the menus up here in the suitcase. And
Yeah,
then
you can
find it under Echo.
Okay. All right. So all of you see this happening. What do you want to do?
All right. So at this moment, SB is going to close their eyes, and Zelina, you would feel like SB's muscles tense up, and then all of a sudden, they start to feel lighter, like easier to carry, as all of these bees start like coming out of various places of their body and starts crawling all over you, and then eventually lifting off and going into the air. And SB closes their eyes. I don't know if I said that already or not, but eventually these bees will work their way into the crevices of this technology, and SB is trying to see the inner workings of this to gain some idea of how this machine works.
Okay.
Using the many eyes skill.
Oh yeah. That's what I figured. Okay, so as the bees sort of start shifting through, like they're finding these tiny little networks and tunnels. They're kind of burrowing their ways into these cables, and they're following these arcs of energy that is like coursing through, almost trying to fly against the stream. They eventually work their way back to this hub of these catatonic people, like drool coming down from their faces in this sort of room that smells somewhat rancid, decay, and you can see that there's like a dozen people in this room, all connected to this machine in some way, as if, and like you can see there's these different things protruding out of their brains connecting to it, as if these brains themselves, these minds, are somehow the sort of battery power, the processing unit, whatever you want to call it, that which is fueling this sort of technology. And there's like this sort of other path that seems to sort of be drifting even further downward and sort of into this storage. And there's like this huge storage chamber where it just feels like memories and minds and stuff, like this huge data chamber. And it kind of seems like this massive computer system fueled by the minds of like 12 different people.
All right. So as that's happening, Esvi is going to say to Zelina, do not worry, you're an unsuitable host. There's nothing you have to fear.
Oh, I'm not worried at all.
Good.
And is there still a bee on me?
Oh, there's lots.
Okay, I'm going to squish one. Just to see what happens.
Like it feebly attempts to sting you, but it dies.
Fascinating. I'm just gonna let it fall to the ground, and then I think about this point I might realize that me and the crystals need to part ways, and I'm gonna find the rest of the party.
Okay, so yeah, you and Esme, are you going with her then? Like starting
she
to
better
descend?
be. She's on my back.
Oh yeah. Like,
okay, she's still on your back. I wasn't sure. I thought like with the bees breaking off, like you might have done something different. Okay, so you descend down the kind of the hallway. You saw them begin to descend. So we'll cut back then to Malik, Zenobe, and Lucius down where Zenobe's getting drained of her echo spirit. What is everyone doing down here?
You didn't ask me what memories I was losing.
Zenobe, give us a memory that you lost.
The memory first meeting Esme. I was reading a book and Esme was walking around town and she came up trying to be very nice to me and I didn't look up from my book at all. That's the one I'm forgetting.
Okay. Such a powerful character building memory. Okay.
Nice.
So yeah, Lucius, Malik, what do you want to do in this situation?
Oh, I am all about studying Zenobe in this process because it kind of looks like the memory exchange I had, right?
Yeah, it seems more intense, and it actually you don't remember, like you even put kind of like your hand up to your temple, and you don't really feel any sort of physical wound there at all. Like it's kind of away. Like yours was very mental. Like this, it's like something else. Like it's something more tangible coming out of her.
Oh yeah,
Him,
I'm all about Zenobe, like, how does it feel? Can you feel the memories leaving you? Like, does it hurt when I poke you, like here, like, you know, just all up in that personal business, being very, very curious. Like,
I assume I'm not responsive during any of this, right?
No, not at all. No, you are in the chamber of the drowned queen.
Oh, well, that's even better. I can be a little more intrusive. I'll pull my knife out and start poking here and there.
You bastard.
Malik,
Opening,
what are you doing amongst all this?
Like, for real?
I'm not stabbing him to hurt him. Just, like you go to the doctor and they poke you with something sharp every now and then to test stuff. I don't know. I've seen it on TV.
Yeah. In the ER when they stab you with a Bowie knife, that's perfectly normal.
I don't know what ERs you're going to, but obviously they're not doing something right if they aren't stabbing you with a Bowie knife.
I am deeply disturbed by what I'm seeing here. So I will plunge my claws in the earth and snarl, and I will use my twisting territory ability to snarl and ascertain who is the alpha within this domain. Because I want to find them and stop them. I do not like what this is doing to my companions.
In this chamber, so this whole area here, you can see that there's several of these cubbies, and you notice like there is this other sort of connected antechamber, and there's probably a dozen or more of these figures that you met along the path to this place that are kind of milling about, some of whom are like escorting folks into these cubbies. You notice that there is someone with these robes that are exhibiting some kind of illuminated like collar, like there's like a sort of like a tech collar. You can see like this glowing pinkish lettering coming down the inside seams, and you can see that they have some strange device on their head. It almost looks like an upside down salad colander with all these different things coming out of it, and they're carrying around this huge tablet, as many of them are, but you get the sense that that particular person with that glowing robe is the alpha.
So basically, Malik will stare in their direction, but the downside of this ability is they know I know. Like, it's kind of like a two-way thing. Like, I growl and snarl, and I determine who the alpha is here, but they now know that I know.
And you see, as you're staring at their back, they rotate and turn. And you can see their eyes are glowing, and you don't even think they're real eyes anymore. You think you're actually just looking at sort of a replacement visor, like someone has replaced this upper portion of their head with some kind of glowing visor. Half their half their face looks like machinery, and you watch as their hand kind of comes up to their face, and all of a sudden the other one of these pilgrims that you came in contact with on the way here, all their heads turn like one giant hive in your direction and begin closing towards where you are, Malik.
I would like to ask your passage to leave. We're going to disconnect our friend and move on. If you would not like to have this temple of yours desecrated, I would recommend you allow us to do so. I do not want to bring harm upon you or yours.
You hear this voice come out of all of their mouths at the same time, like in unison. No real echo. It's like this perfect unity to it.
No, he must remain. His dreams and memories power the very heart itself. Removing him now would implode the heart upon us all. No. We can have you join him, however.
And you see a light illuminate this empty cubby on the other side of the room.
You may join your friend.
And another light of like another cubby opens up, empty.
And your other friend might join us as well. Together you shall be.
Okay, that's really, really creepy. I know that he's probably really enjoying what he's doing right now, but I think I will, like, he'll lightly plunge one of his claws into his throat to kind of activate the queen's larynx from before and let forth that horrible scream. And just kind of like reality will rend slightly in one area as the room will like be flooded with those creepy little flightless owls that just begin to swarm them. It allows me once per session to create a distraction or allow an escape.
Okay. So as these flightless owls just begin to populate the room, you can see like most of these begin to like, vermin, no, you shall not interfere. And they start swiping them away, giving you a moment to try to help Zenobe and Lucius too, who doesn't seem to be quite on the up of his head.
Even being a little messed up, I think I would catch on if there was unison speak of threats. Like I'm curious, but not, curious enough to die for this. So I'm going to just pull my Seeker's Blade out and go ahead and just slice this cord connected to Zenobe's head.
Okay. All right. If you just want to do it that way,
just want to
cut the cord,
cut him free.
Just this horrible reaction as Zenobe, you watch as the entirety of this beautiful chamber of the drowned queen, as it just goes inside out. She just folds within and just explodes in front of you. All of the retinue around does the same thing, like that sort of teal, soggy, drowned skin color folds inward and then pops back out, this bright pink and red, and the waters just become filled like chum, like searching for sharks, and all you feel is just utter pain like soak over you.
No!
Your eyes flicker open.
So happy.
And there's Lucius right in front of you holding a knife.
Things are going sideways. There's no back right now, only forward. Come on, we gotta run.
While we're running, I have one other like once per session thing I could do that would kind of tie in with this.
Okay.
With fractured form, once per session, I can draw forth like little creatures or whatnot. And we had exploding acidic frogs nearby.
You had it as a resource. So somebody, I think Zenobe
had them, yeah.
He's got that, but as a separate thing, I can once per session just call upon my own a D8 resource.
Okay.
And as we're like beginning to run away, and I know who the alpha here is, I want to kind of like, plunge my claws in the ground once more, focus my mind, and call forth another swarm of those acidic frogs to all jump at who I know is this weird tech cult leader, and just have them all leap upon them and explode and burst acid on them.
Rips into like this metal vent below, and you just feel your claws like dig into like the concrete and metal floor, the ground here, and just writhe away. The light begins to flicker, and you can see popping out of these like crystal bulb lights, you just see as all of these frogs just begin raining down on this cult leader. It's like, and it starts exploding, taking pieces of its tech robe apart. You see the lights kind of flickering on its collar. Get them! Do not let them flee! It's at this time that we'll say Zelina and Esme enter into the chamber right as flightless owls, frogs are beginning to harass these pilgrims, these tech pilgrims.
Zenobe's screaming at the top of his lungs.
Yeah.
Lucius has a knife right in front of Zenobe's face. There's like this weird kind of almost like floating, like defying gravity fluid just erupting from Zenobe, a wound in Zenobe's head.
How long would you say it has been since Esme fell into the acid?
I would say a couple hours, probably.
A couple hours, okay. So all of a sudden you will feel Esme get a little bit heavier on your back, and you hear it, "Oh my, what's happening?"
I'm gonna let Esme down. How close are we to the main person who's getting swarmed?
You're probably I mean, if we're looking at like measurement wise, I would say within 50 feet or so, something like that. It's on the other side of a large chamber.
Okay. I'm just going to let Esme down.
Okay.
All right. And as Esme has reawoken, she gets to refresh D6 stress from any of her resistances.
Sounds good.
For letting the hive take over. But they're bastards. So, you know, it's a trade-off. Why is it not rolling?
It rolled a 3.
Oh, okay. It's just not catching up. Okay, that's enough. Yeah. That's cool.
Okay.
So, seeing this madness, Esme is going to run towards Zenobe because it looks like he's hurt and try and get him out of here.
Yeah. You go over to Zenobe, kind of trying to pull him out of like the cubby that he's in. Again, there's just like this pink like clouds that are just like filling the room, and like you're trying to drag him away, and it's just like leaving a trail of it behind. Meanwhile,
who the hell are you?
Oh, I know you like to joke, sweetheart, but now it's not the time.
Get your hands off me! We've never met.
She's here to help Zenobe. We need to go.
I am pulling both of my pistols. Yeah, I've got one at Esme and one at Lucius.
Meanwhile, all of these flightless owls are harassing these other pilgrim cultists who are trying to close in on you, but they're being like kind of annoyed and harassed, and they're right. And the guy at the far end of the room has just like a dozen freaking frogs exploding on him and burning him, and he's like screaming out in pain. And periodically you hear like the echo of his pain screams coming out of the vocal modulators of these other cultists. It's only like it will like this distraction is working, but it won't last forever.
Screw it. And I take both pistols and I shoot at the guy, the leader.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Nice.
Sure. Okay, so you're firing. Go ahead and roll kill. I would imagine kill makes sense, and then you can use technology, or you can use occult for your domain.
We're definitely going occult. So standard.
No, actually, against him it's risky.
Is it possible to assist since there's lots of creatures being directed?
Yeah, we can say.
And I have occult?
Yeah, I would say you can probably maybe you shout a command and like the owls try to like respond, or the frogs, something like that. Sure. Okay.
Success at a cost.
So, you have a gun. You point it. You kind of. Do you channel like what happens when you? Because I know you're a junkmate, so it's not just your average gun. Yeah. Like what does this look like?
It's very much like the flintlock type pistol that you would associate with like old school pirates. And I've got them pointed at Esme, Lucius, and I say screw it, and I just swing them both forward and pull both triggers at the main cultist guy. And there's a bit of there are bullets that come out, but there is like a magical force that swirls around, and it's kind of like a grayish silver. As the bullet goes through the air kind of is split, like there are trails of tentacles wrapped around that are kind of left behind as it goes towards the cult leader.
Roll a d8 to apply stress. So this is your damage roll. I think it's a d8 for your pistols. D8. Oh my. What? +1. +1 for your commune, so 9 points of damage. Is that just for the delve, or is that just for the whole session?
For the whole delve.
Okay. This is no, your delve's over. When you arrived at this place, the delve was over.
Okay, so yeah, that's only for the delve then.
Yeah, you guys rolled really well at your delve stress, so you got through the delve pretty fast. So you can watch as a small eruption occurs, like right on the chest, and you can see wires and cables erupt from it, but also this blood that looks more black and coolant-like. But here's the thing, because it was a success with a cost. Right where you shot him, you look down and you see your own chest explode as well, as you see this eruption of like this pinkish explosion, as you will take... let's see. This guy is... Hang on.
Really trying to take out Steven tonight.
I mean, he's doing it.
I've earned it over the past few months.
The D8. So this is going to be a D8 stress in direction of you. So
give him the full 8.
5 stress. Echo, because the rest of you don't see this happening. Like, he looks fine, but he's just like, ah! It's 5 points of echo.
That puts me at 4 total.
Let me roll a fallout die. You're good for fallout as a roll of 12. Okay. What do you guys want to do? Remember, there's no initiative, so we go in whatever order you want. I don't roll any dice to attack you guys. It's just if you fail your shit, that's when like I narrate somehow damage that happens to you, like the counterattacks. But they're trying to close in on you, and they're trying to hurt you. And there's about 12 of the regular, and then there's the main big guy. Chuck, you're going to say something. Or was it? I'm sorry, I misheard.
Either or. I just want to activate my Oath of Fury.
Okay.
With that, I need to roll a Endure Religion to beseech the meat tree to lend me aid.
Okay.
So I want to do that.
All right.
And if I pass it, the big thing that's coming out of it is I'll get a knack relevant to my intended targets.
Okay. Okay.
Success.
You watch as the cubby next to where Zenobe was lights up, and you see this desiccated body just falls down and just explodes into a bit of viscera and meat, these strewn meats, and it's a sign from the meat tree that they are with you. You feel that sense of vigor throw through you.
All right, I've got my knife. I'm ready to dive in, but I'll let Esme.
Okay. Esme, what do you like to do?
While there's still distance between us and them, it's the perfect time to release the swarm towards the group of them. She's not caring at all about who gets stung by this, but the bees will know where they're going. As they will try and find places to sting that are not covered up by technology.
Okay. So I think this is as a weapon. It's a kill D4 spread weapon. So this would most likely then be kill for the roll, obviously, and then the domain would be either tech or occult.
Yeah, I'm definitely going for technology there. It has the spread, but we'll see if it's successful.
Yeah. And it is.
Yeah, I'm getting lucky. Sweet.
So spread, anyone standing near the target on a successful use must roll evade plus domain or another applicable skill to avoid marking stress as well. I don't think any of you have said that you've gotten into melee with him yet, so I think that's fine. So I think you're good. Downgrade the stars. So NPC's caught in the blast. Okay, so yeah, so I think you guys are okay. There's no one who's gonna get hit by that. It's just gonna be them taking it.
So D4?
If it's a D4, yeah, go for it. And I'll say, so I treat NPCs like I use like the sort of pool, alternate rule. So I'll say roll like 4 D4s because it would be the equivalent of say hitting like 4 of them. So like you can roll 3 more D4s.
Okay.
Because that's how I do it. This is 9 total. So you watch as your bees are released, and just as 2 of them are clearly trying to like take these flightless owls out of the nooks and crannies and their various clothing and the cabling and those weird appendages they have attached, the bees just descend and they just sift and kind of through all the tiny little creases, and you just watch as these heads just sort of shift, and sort of like a moment from Scanners where the heads just, and 2 of them almost at the exact same time, their heads just burst in like a bit of gore and tech viscera as cables and these different sort of mechanical plates, but also bits of flesh and brain matter kind of erupt, and 2 of them just collapse to the ground. There's still about 10 more left.
Esme says into the nothingness, "Your sacrifice will not be forgotten."
Beautiful.
As her ammunition is dying because they're stinging. So
sure. What do you all want to do? Is they're you can tell they're starting to get, you know, the owls kind of under control. The one guy's still struggling with the frogs as they're still sort of exploding on him. It's sort of slowing him down to cross the room. But you can tell that the owls are beginning that is wearing down. So it's up to you all. You can fight. You can flee. Your call.
I want this dude covered in frogs. I just want to sprint in and dive in and just try and bury my knife into him.
Okay. All right. So it's gonna be risky.
Yeah.
Now you can. Since you're saying you're specifically sprinting, you can just make this kill, but you can also make it evade if you just want to you're trying to navigate all the others that are swarming at you. So kill or evade.
Mate tree guides me. I'm taking kill.
Okay. So tech or occult is the domain.
Let's do. Let me double check.
I really like tech cultists. I don't know.
How do I do the thing for having a knack?
So that's just click the mastery checkbox. Yeah.
Could I possibly, since he's charging in, I was thinking of doing the same. Maybe I could throw my own weight into it to help shoulder people out of the way.
Absolutely. That sounds great. So add help from Malik. It is, make sure you change it to risky.
Risky. Yeah.
Okay. Just remember, you both suffer the stress if something goes wrong.
It's worth it.
Okay. I think it sounds fantastic.
Oh. Ow. Ow.
Okay.
All the frogs.
You all charge in, and as you're getting through, you can feel these metal hands reach out and scrape against your arms and your back as you're nearly caught by some of the cultists that are kind of in between you and where this guy is. You can feel the dripping of acid coming down from the ceiling where one of these frogs exploded, and as you dive into him, you see in sort of a surprising blur of speed, he just almost kind of flickers for a moment out of existence and just rotates around and rakes this huge kind of claw, this metal claw, down your backs. I'll roll that. This is going to be a stress of D8.
It's going against blood.
It's going against both of you, blood. Yeah.
All right.
And then as you're both kind of caught up in the charge, and you're now both next to him. And so I'll do the same for both of you. It's a 4. Is that equal to or under?
With my protection, I've got a 3.
So I take 2.
Okay. So compare my Fallout roll of 4 to your total stress.
I'm fine.
Under.
Okay, you're all under? Okay, so you guys are fine. Mm-hmm. All right. So you can see the rest of you can see the two of them charge in. They take some wounds along the way, and they're trying to hack at this guy. And he just sort of flickers and moves and flickers and moves, and he's got this herky-jerky movement to him. What do the rest of you want to do? Or anyone at this point you can act. There's no order. You just, if there's something you want to do, just say it.
Zenobe got a good hit in. He got hit back. I think he's ready to run. If he's looking at the rest of the group
now you are.
Hey, you want to go, guys? I know, I'm an asshole.
You just do
Malik
the opposite.
Or Selena want to do?
Zelena's just been kind of watching the show. So if y'all want to run, I think she'd be amenable for that. She just showed up and everything's crazy, so she's just been watching.
I was all for running, and then we didn't run, and Lucius charged in, and I'm not going to leave Lucius alone.
Of course not.
You
Leroy
try
Jenkins
so hard to help people.
Yeah. Now our Luscious and Malik away from the ordinary.
Yes. Yeah, they're not near you all. They're on the other side.
So could I release the swarm again and not have to worry about hurting them?
Yeah, you can just target the regular cultists. Targeting the main guy is a different target. Yeah, that's a different target.
The regular cultists, not the
Yeah. Zelina and Zenobe, do you want to flee? You certainly can. You can roll an evade test to try to get out of here safely. ZZ top. So Zelina and Zenobe, you're welcome to.
I'm kind of waiting to see what Zenobe's gonna do.
Zenobe.
Zenobe's kind of waiting to see what Zelina's gonna do.
No, that's
like
perfect.
in a staring match.
Okay.
Like we're both thinking about it, but we're not quite ready to make the first move.
All right. So I'll go ahead and release the swarm again.
Yeah, go right ahead. So same thing, same roll. It's
Yep.
Since it's at the big swarm of people, it's just going to be regular, standard, I should say. Oh no.
Oh no.
It seems as though the bees fly out, but you can tell that there's like you hear this hum and this vibration in the room as if there's like this competing signal that has been emitted from like one of these obelisks.
That's great.
And it's confusing your bees, which turn on you now and start like kind of hacking here and there. You can see them weaving into like your eye and your ear, and you can feel them eating away. And like some of your own bees are now fighting them. So we'll call this traitors. This is going to be a D. I think it's a D8 again. Yeah, D8. So this is going to be two. Why did I say D6? Sorry, let me re-roll that. Don't pay attention to that. It should have been a D8. Yep. It's being weird. 3 points. A stress. Do you have any specific types of stress that you're trying to complete for your beats?
No.
Okay, so yeah, well, I think we'll just call it blood, as it's sort of it's kind of like eating away. Like you're just basically getting bee bites, is what it is.
Yeah. So I have 2 protections, so I have 1. So I've got a
so you just take the 1
chance of getting. Yeah.
And so I roll an 11. So I'm assuming your total stress is underneath 11.
Yes.
Okay.
Because
good to go.
I got some sleep.
Okay, so something's happening. Like they're counteracting like the connection you have with your bees, and they're seeming confused. Okay.
And I was like, naughty. That's all she's gonna say. It's just naughty.
Zenobe and Zelina. So as you see Esme kind of trying to like swat away her own bees that are turning on her, are you two doing anything?
Is there anyone of the lower ranking occultists that have their backs to me?
Oh yeah, for sure. It's sort of absolute chaos in here. Some are looking at you, but dealing with like these flightless owls. Others you see are kind of closing in on Malik and Lucius. There's a few others that are charging at you. So yeah, you can certainly find one that has their back to you.
Okay. I'm just going to casually walk up behind one and take my long obsidian blade and just put it at the weak spot on the back of their neck and go up through the brain.
Oh, beautiful. Okay, so this is gonna be this you're using your secret blade, which is equipment. So that's gonna give you kill. So you can roll kill, and you have occult. So yeah, you have everything. So what you do, Jen, is that's not where you roll it from. So on your character sheet, when you have it open, at the very top, there's like a roll button. So click that. And then it'll bring up like a pop-up window. The difficulty is standard. Skill is going to be kill. Okay. And I think you get it from your equipment. So you can change the skill to kill. You can change the domain to occult. And then click roll. Okay, so that's successful. So you managed to come up behind them and you just jam the blade, and it kind of pops out their neck on the other side, and so you can, right next to where it says success at a cost, you can click on, hang on, let me double check your blade. Your blade does D6, so you can roll a D6 if you want. Okay, 1 point of damage. So you managed to jam this through, but at the same time, I guess as they're falling kind of off their blade, they're like kind of slashing and reaching around and trying to sort of, flail a bit. They're going to also be able to kind of get a little bit of a hit off on you. So this is going to be a D8 for them. And they manage to kind of turn around with this desperate flail. They're going to kind of kind of take their claws, these metal claws that they have, and just kind of rake them against your leg as they fall to the ground. So what you'll do is you're going to take 3 blood stress. So towards the top of your character sheet, you'll see blood, mind, echo, fortune and supplies, and you see all those little boxes to the right. Just put checks in 3 of the ones next to blood. Okay. And I just rolled your fallout, so you're fine. You don't take any kind of injury, and that's it. So you did damage. You took one of these out, but you took a little bit damage back in return. Is basically what happened. All right. Who would like to go next? As things are getting crazy.
I would like to try and stab this leader occult dude.
Please do.
Right in the left butt cheek.
Okay, so you target the left butt cheek. You watch it flicker and shift and flicker and shift. Any attacks against this guy are still going to be at risky.
Risky?
Yeah, the leader's risky.
And you said this was, what was the domain? Occult? No.
Tech or occult is fine. Tech or occult.
Okay. And I still have mastery. So, yeah.
I will... Can I assist again if I haven't acted yet? Or if it...
He just rolled already and got a critical success.
Okay.
So
well,
you can just go... yeah. So, Chuck, if you want to roll damage from that, I think if you expand it... Let me see. Hang on. I guess you can't. So, yeah, you're going to roll... I think it's double. I looked it up before. I think you rolled double. So, roll 2 of your dice, your damages, your stress dice, I should say.
Yeah. So this is with my knife.
Mm-hmm.
So the first is a 5.
Mm-hmm.
Second is a 4. So 9 altogether.
Okay.
Nice.
So you just, as he's flickering around, shifting, moving, you're thrusting the dagger out. He's like missing. And then finally you just hear this like sort of mechanized like scream and yelp. And then it's echoed moments later by all of the other like cultists who are still standing as you jam the blade right into his backside. You retrieve it, and you can see that dripping from it is just like this almost black oil.
Okay.
But he is nonetheless still functioning and still standing. Malik, do you want to follow up on him?
I think I do. So in this turmoil, is there any chance any of these little critters have gone down, like any of the flightless owls or frogs?
Yeah, there are frog parts and bodies and flightless owl bodies everywhere that are being ripped apart and killed. Yes.
I think what I might do, let me see what the ability is. I think it's called Fell Metabolism.
Mm-hmm.
I think with one hand, he'll just shove the body of one of the little owls into his mouth and crunch on it.
Oh, God.
And with the other hand, claw into this dude's wound that he's just received.
Mm.
And if I do that, instead of taking any extra skills from the critter, I can just give myself Brutal, which lets me roll damage twice and take the better.
Take the better, yeah. Okay. Yeah, so you crunch down on one of these, you lunge out, same thing, risky difficulty, kill, tech, occult, or your choices for domain.
I'll go with kill and occult.
That reminds me, my knife had brutal, so next time I need to remember to do that.
Roll a d6. If you roll a 6, I'll add an extra point. Actually, you roll 2d6. So roll 2d6s, and so the 5 is the 5 are the same. Roll another d6 if you do better than the 4. All right, so 9 was cool. 9 still would have been the best.
Cool, thank you, man.
Okay. Mm-hmm. All right, so I'll do that, and then do we still have any of those additional dice?
Yes, we have. Melissa gave you 3 more. I think we were down to 3, so we're up to 6.
Since this is a risky roll, are you guys okay with me taking an extra dice to try and
go for it?
Yeah. Take all the extra dice.
We got
man.
6.
Yeah,
roll
I'm
all
cool
6.
with it. Yeah.
And can I assist from afar? By
how would you
dice?
do so?
Like I would say, pull the cords from his head. Like assisting with technology.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. If you have a tech domain, sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so you hear like the buzzy sounds of Esme's voice from behind. A success. Unfortunately, the crit you lost because it's risky, but the 9's still good. So roll your damage. Roll it twice. Take the better.
And then my claws will ignore any sort of resistance that it has.
Okay. He does actually have
some. So I'm glad I get to roll that twice.
Only D4?
It's only D because it's unarmed. But it ignores defense.
And it ignores he does actually have 3 resistance, and he also has 3 health. Describe your kill, Malik.
Much
Nice
as I have
job.
seen these things plunge this, and I understand this is where they draw the memories from, I assume the same is true of him. I'll just stare him in the eye. Say, you are a thief of all things that are sacred. I despise you and all you stand for. I hope you carry nothing with you, wherever you go.
And he falls. And then you watch as, like, instantaneously, every one of the other tech cultists in here just flop and fall to the ground. Look around. All of them are down. There's, like, some shimmering left, like, here and there. But it's more like the energy's leaving them as opposed to they're still alive. Like, there's, like, electricity coursing through them. But you also notice that there's a little bit of a rumble that's happening to the floor. Like, you're feeling like something shaking in this chamber. What do you guys want to do?
Zenobe has like 1 foot out the door already. He's still like in the room, but he's like ready to go. He was like waiting to see how this was going.
Now there are all these bodies.
Is a great option.
Lucius, you would look down and you can see that there's this, like, one of the things that he was carrying around was this, like, fairly large sort of tome/tablet. It's like this super thick, and you can see there's this lit screen that's kind of flickering in and out and in and out. And you can see that there's what looks like directory information, like memories, and like it's like almost self-deleting here and there, but there's like stuff on it. There's knowledge, there's info on it here and there.
I want to snatch that up, throw it in my pack real quick as I'm heading out.
Okay, yeah, you grab it, and you can see that like it's in this process of like auto deleting some things, but stuff is still remaining on. What do the rest of you want to
do? Esme will say, "There's people below us. They're trapped."
I will begin using my claws to cut through the floor as best as possible.
You would notice as you're doing that, you look into the antechamber that was connected to this larger room where he was, and you do in fact see there's a stairwell going down.
Sorry, I misunderstood. I hope you'll forgive me. I was feeling a bit peaked.
Of course.
Do we get the sense that we would have time to help these people before this place collapses?
That is a possibility. We'll see how it goes. So right. Yeah.
Well, then I will rush down the stairs.
Right behind Malik.
Okay. Lucius, Malik, Esme, you rush down the stairs. Zenobe, you rush back up, and you're in a different heart group now. But you get down there and you see that there are a handful of these people. There's this horrible smell down here, but you can see, much like the others up top, they all seem to be connected to what looks like this obelisk that extends upward to the floor above you, to the floor above that. It's like this massive black obelisk that these things are connected to, and everything's sort of shaking. But you notice down here that it's the obelisk itself that's actually vibrating. You can see that you're at the base, and it itself is starting to shake, and you can even see tiny bits of fracturing beginning to occur as if this thing is shattering. And there are these people down here. They look like, you can see their rib cages. You can see like the skin is sort of like pulling back against their jaws, and their in their facial bones. You can kind of see they look sickly, but they're completely out of it, in a similar way that Zenobia was when he was plugged in.
Let's rip them out.
Yeah, just claw through the cords, pull them, go.
Start ripping them out. Each time you rip one out, the shaking and the rumbling gets harder and heavier. Next one. You kind of go through all of them, and finally, like, you have all of them free. But you can see, like, there's these shards of this obelisk that are beginning to fall, just crashing down.
One thing that I hope I can do to buy us some time.
Yeah.
Because I know I wouldn't be able to have enough time to fix it, but my perfect machine allows me to synthesize technological parts and it says given time I can repair it, but I know I don't have time. I'm wondering if I can buy us a little bit of time through my perfect machine ability.
I think that's a fair thing to say. You definitely don't have time to repair the whole thing, especially in its total complexity, but you could possibly slow things down. Yeah.
Enough to give. So do I need to make a test for that?
Does the ability require you to? Does it say?
No, it just says given time you can repair technological devices even if you don't have the right parts. You synthesize them from wax.
I'm fine with saying, because you're not trying to actually mend it and keep it together. Like, I'm not going to call for a mend roll, which would probably normally would have you do, but in this case, like, it's just you do it. It's an ability.
So Esme cries out in pain as you see, like, bees are flying to her and to the technology, going back and forth, and like there's like she's suffering in agony as she's doing that, but she is buying you time.
All right, so we got the people free, right? We cut them loose.
There are all these shards on the ground, these sharp shards. There's like everything's kind of like the whole place is rumbling, but as Esme kind of focuses, you can tell that rumbling begins to cease, or at least slow down somewhat.
While they're down there trying to be heroes, could I stay up in the original chamber, just like searching through the cultists, like seeing if there's anything of value, like anything, hopefully occult, but tech-wise, I'm not picky.
Yeah, so you do actually find some things for sure. You can take a D8 worth of Vermisian fragments. You can take, let's see. If you want, you can also take, sorry, I was just reading something funny in one of these. You can also take what looks just like functional machinery, D8 as well. So you can add that as resources, those two.
Both those are technology?
Yes, those are both technology. The Vermisian one is also cursed.
Gotcha. And sorry, go ahead and be heroes again, guys. Sorry to interrupt.
Zelina, did you want to do anything while they were heroing and while Zenobe was scavenging?
Just for one day.
Zelina would like to take the tech off her kill.
Oh yeah,
remove
for sure.
it with her blade.
If you want, you can. There's a couple things you can probably harvest from here. You could probably harvest what looks like a series of like these metal, like almost like Freddy Krueger like blades as a weapon. I don't know if it's better than yours, but it's actually a D6 and it has the brutal quality to it. So it's sort of like what Jeremy was doing, like it can do twice as much damage. It's like this metal claw, essentially. And they also have what looks like machinery in their head. So it looks like cyber optics. You can put resources, cyber optics, D8. And I can give it to you later if you're not sure how to mark it down. No problem. Okay. So down in the hero chamber, what are we doing?
Are these people able to move on their own, or do they have to be carried?
They are completely catatonic. They have to be carried.
I don't know how much longer I can hold this.
I want to try and help out our escape, and I want to use our my unorthodox methods ability. Are there any of these dead cultists floating around here?
There's plenty upstairs.
Okay. I want to run up real quick, and I want to grab one and beseech the meat tree and see if it can build us a meat tunnel to provide us cover so we can escape. The catch with this is I get a 6.
Okay. So you automatically succeed, but at cost.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay.
So I just want a meat tube that we can all run out of.
So
I want a meat tube.
I mean, don't we all? Let's be honest. You run upstairs. You see Zenobe and Zelina kind of going through, scavenging a few things. Maybe you shout out to them. You carry this cultist. You beseech the meat tree. You watch them you watch in front of you as you're like going through some sort of prayer to the meat god. What do you say, Chuck? How do you beseech them? You can play this shit out.
Holy.
Come on, you're a professional at this, man.
Meat tree, I beseech you, extend your branches. Cover us in your sweet, delectable meats. Protect us from those that would cause bruising and harm. Give me that sweet, sweet meaty tube so we can return back to you. As I just take a thigh meat and I just kind of, grab it and unfold it. Like, how you unwrap a taco or a burrito. A burrito, you don't unwrap tacos. But
that's just crazy talk, yeah.
Yeah. And then I just throw it in the air and it just extends into this lattice work of meat and sinew. Maybe pulling some of the flesh out of me to help assist it.
Yeah. As you're doing that, as you kind of get your arms up, you just feel like this horrible pain in your chest.
Yeah.
To the point you start like kind of like almost something's like it's like a scene from Alien. You pull your shirt back, and all of a sudden, those of you in the room just watch as Lucius's pectoral muscles wrench free, pulling you from his chest. Blood just erupting. And as the blood erupts in this like horrible display of like viscera, his pectoral muscles explode and they fall to the ground, seeping through the vents like that, the grates at the bottom. And as you do so, and as they do, like a couple moments go by, you're not even sure if it's working. You're like, and you watch as now coming up from below, you just hear this kind of steady rumble, and this kind of liquefied meat begins to seep up and just pull the grate inward, imploding it downward. And you see a tunnel of metal shavings and liquid flesh open up like a child's slide going down into a pool below.
This way, the meatness is giving us a path.
You look over.
A spiral slide?
It's a spiral slide for sure. It is, and you see like these two gaping like pectoral wounds, like on his chest. Oh God, you all chose this.
Zenobe doesn't care. He'll jump right in.
Okay, and you just.
I guess we'll toss some of these unconscious people there. You said there's like weird shards of that strange crystal, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Gather those up.
Take a D8's worth of obsidian shards, and that will be a
with
cult.
Loot, but I'm too busy mourning my missing nipples. So
I thought I was gonna do the arm thing, but I thought it'd be funny if I took your pecs.
That's a great
Just want to take your pecs. It's the first thing I thought of. I was like, I'm gonna take his pecs.
Take the middies. I'm not using them.
Chuck, does it have to be like the right pack then the left pack, or is it left pack then right pack? Does it matter? Like, is there a packing order?
Oh, I think Garblag's calling me. I gotta go.
So all of you would start going down this like tunnel, this slide, and eventually you leave the machine, this kind of machine that does this area, and you find yourselves kind of sort of plopped down in what looks like this. You look around and it's just like you like eventually land with a kind of a thud, and you look around and you see a combination of stone, concrete. You see what looks like metal here and there. You see these old signage like an L fear kind of pointing in the direction, and the message says Hang Station. And it kind of points off down the tunnel.
That's exciting.
And we could stop there, I think. We're 10 after 9, we're past our time. Why don't we just stop there, and we'll pick up in this tunnel below en route to Hang Station.
In this tunnel below? Sorry.
Well, Pekka.
That's all right. Okay. All right. I don't know how we did with beats. I tried. Let's see. Looking at them, Esme.
I got a major.
Esme, you're 1/3 of the way because we're about to hit Hang Station. You got your dreams one, so it looks like you're good for dreams. Lucius, you found a helpful text.
Yep.
I also think you can take the second one as you did that sort of memory exchange. So you could take the second one.
Totally not going to argue with that.
Malik, yeah, you repaired something for sure. Meet an NPC who hates you for what you've done. Well, technically, the guy you killed hates you for what you did, and you did meet him. So you can take it out if you want.
Okay.
Zelina, you weren't helping your allies. You were instead sort of like looting this guy. So I think you can take a beat for your first beat. Did you take any mind fallout, Zelina? Did you take any damage to your mind? Okay, so none on that. And Zenobe, you got your major echo fallout done, but you didn't get your minor done.
Nice.
Okay.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah. Cool. All right, so that is it. Why don't we do a closing round table? We'll end with Adam. We'll go to Chuck.
Hey,
Chuck.
That's me. Yeah. So Wednesday on Defenders of Cobalt, twitch.tv/Defenders of Cobalt, we're going to be kicking off season 2 of the Thunder Rift. Things are going to be crazy. We did 2 sessions of the Quiet Year to establish the setting. So we're going to do a session of that. It's going to be great. Thursday, we're doing a second session for Watercolors and Warriors of the Quiet Year because we're getting ready to spin into a Tales from the Loop campaign that's going to be inspired by Over the Garden Wall. And then Friday, we'll be doing our Anvia playtesting campaign thing on Defenders. And Saturday at 1, we've got something, but I'll let Adam touch on that. And then Saturday night over on Goodman Games Official, we're back in Weird Frontiers as Bert is running us through the Weird West. Yes.
Awesome. Jen, you got something you want to plug?
Actually don't have anything to plug. I do have my Twitch channel, Pixaproller, but I haven't streamed in quite some time. Still kind of adjusting to work and overtime.
Okay.
So, thanks.
Steven, man, you got anything you want to add?
I'm plugging you, Jeff.
Whoa. I'm a married man, Steven. Oh,
so am I. That doesn't have to stop us.
We'll see you later, everybody. We got things to know. Okay.
Bert tomorrow. And then One Ring and Heart.
Yep.
And Future Mothership. Yeah. So I'll let you
That's
cover.
True. All right. Sounds good. Jeremy, tell us what is Patreon.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm not getting plugged. So on Patreon, you can go to Aaron Reese. And there's comics, there's RPG assets, and lots of other fun stuff. Check it out.
Fantastic. As for me, over on twitch.tv/the Lollygaggers, on Monday, you can catch myself, Chuck, Jeremy, as we play Holler for Savage Worlds. Next Friday, what Steven was mentioning there, was Mothership, as we're going to be starting up a new game on Fridays, and we're kind of alternating for a bit. Our One Ring game on Saturday is on like a 2-week break, so we'll be gone for about 2 weeks, but eventually we'll be back in July with more of that stuff. And we also just started up a Hunter the Reckoning game last night. Just did some session 0. That's coming as well, so you're going to see more of that in July as well. And then Adam, finish it off.
All right. Well, one thing I'd like to talk about is the fact that we are running games of Zweihander, Blackbirds, and Flames of Freedom at Gen Con this year. And we are paying $15 an hour. And if you run it in person, you also get a $20 per session DM. Per session, per DM. So if you go to our website, I think I was a bad boy. No, I did not put the article up on the website, but any of our socials will have how you can sign up to run games with us at Gen Con. We are also doing digital. So if you can't make it to the con, we are paying $15 an hour for that as well. And so you can sign up and apply to run games with us. And we do have an article on all of our socials. And any questions you want, you can ask on any Discord link that's found in there. So we'd love for you to see us at Gen Con. If you don't want to run any, you can check out and see if there's any there. You can come play a game with us at Gen Con. So if there's any spots left. As far as the channel goes, Tuesdays, somebody from the team, there's 4 of us, just doesn't, we don't know who on any given night. It's guaranteed to have Chuck because he's the one that runs the stream. Grim and Perilous plays. We're playing Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, and various members of the team. We do it as a team building thing. If you want to ask us any questions about what we're doing at the time, that's a perfect time to do so. Then normally every other week we have Heart. This is one of them. We won't be playing in 2 weeks, but maybe, just maybe, we'll be playing Kingdom Death in 2 weeks. Next week, we will be playing Fallout 2D20, and that will be at 1:00 p.m. So you can come watch us play at Fallout, and I can hear Jen laughing even though she's muted, and so I'm all of a sudden feeling like I'm saying something wrong.
No, you said Kingdom Death Monster, and Jeff just made this face, and I was like,
Jeff. Yes, standing invitation for Jeff to come out and play Kingdom Death with us.
One day it will happen.
Same thing for Steven, even though it's a pity invite.
Oh, thank you.
No, it's not. It's a genuine invite. Yeah. Anyhow, hopefully we'll see you next week for Fallout and 2 weeks for Kingdom Death. So that's all I got, even though there was a lot of stuff. So.
All right. Well, I guess that's it for tonight. Thanks for everyone who hung out. Thanks for the bits and for helping out. For those of you who are watching this later on YouTube, come join us live sometime. Yeah, we'll catch you later. I'm going to throw it on the end screen. Adam, if you felt like raiding anybody, you can go right ahead. But good night.
And we'll take a look. So stick around if you want to raid somebody.